I don't need to know all this stuff. Oh, wow, everything I need is right here. I don't need to look anywhere else. If learning a language could really be this easy, wouldn't everyone be able to learn multiple languages? If you're about to start or already in the first step of learning a new language like English, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, or any other language, especially if you are self-studying, I'm going to show you 4 mistakes that many people, including myself, have made when learn a new language. These mistakes can actually happen even when you're ready deep into your learning journey. And they are often the reason why people give up on language learning multiple times. If this is your first time on my channel, let me introduce myself. I'm Lam An. Yeah, Lam An is my first name, or you can just call me An if Lam An is too hard for you to pronounce. I built this channel not to share knowledge, but mainly to practice my English speaking skill. I believe that no matter how good your expertise is or how well you can read and understand English, if you can't communicate it clearly, it's really hard for people to trust you. At the same time, I'm also self-learning Chinese, so this video will share my experiences learning both of these languages. So here are the 4 mistakes that you are learning a foreign language or any other language should avoid while you still can. Why am I not talking about one specific language, but keeping it in general? I know language has its own unique challenges, but I believe there are common mistakes that apply to all languages. This comes from my experience learning both Chinese and English. These two languages are completely different. One's use the Latin alphabet, the other use pictographic characters. You can keep watching this video to learn more about what I'm talking about. I'm confident that the few minutes you spend watching this video will be totally worth your time. So now let's dive into the first mistake that so many people usually make right from the beginning. That is learning language through apps. I can't deny learning that way. They do design learning best based on your current level. You download the app, take a small test or answer a few questions, and then it automatically create a personalized learning through based on your current level. Honestly, if you're just studying to self-study and you see this, you will probably love it. Because you will think, oh, wow, everything I need is right here. I don't need to look anywhere else. If you don't think like this, then great. But if you do think this way, then this is the moment you stop and start learning in a more effective and planned way. Since I have given up on learning Chinese many times after trying to self-study through app, I totally understand people who start with this approach. I shared this story and how I restarted in a better direction in my first video on this channel, which thankfully got quite a bit of attention for the first video. You can check it out here or in my description below if you're still figuring things out. As I said, after studying to self-study through app, I realized that the knowledge I gained wasn't very systematic. It was really scattered. Let me give you a specific example of this scattered approach. When I was learning Chinese, my first lesson was about introducing yourself. Then lesson number 2, lesson number 3 moves to different topic. It's different to lesson number 1. In that self introduction lesson, I learned the pronouns for I, you, which are were and me in Chinese. But it didn't take me the other pronouns like he, she, we, they, which are 他, 他, 我们, 你们. They didn't appear until lesson 4 or 5 or something. For someone like me who learns systematically, this felt really scattered. I want to learn everything connected. Learn this, then move to that, then that, then that. So everything linked together and it's easier to remember. Plus, learning through app is pretty passive, which makes it really appealing to beginners because it seems so easy. You don't need to put in much effort to understand the language, but you still get a basic idea of it. You don't need to find a teacher because it's free in app and you don't need to go anywhere. Everything's right here in the app. But think about it. If learning a language could really be this easy, wouldn't everyone be able to learn multiple languages, right? Next up, the second mistake I want to share with you, and this is something I got completely wrong when I started learning Chinese. That mistake is not taking the time to understand the language you are learning. Looking back, I think I was pretty silly. When I was studying for IELTS or TOEIC, I researched everything thoroughly. The type of the question, their structure, scoring system, and everything related to them. When I was learning English in my school, My teacher taught us the alphabet and pronunciation first, and I knew all of these basics. But when I started learning Chinese, I didn't do the same thing. It wasn't until I found a teacher that I realized I needed to start with Chinese alphabet, phonetic system like pinyin, including initial, finals, and tones. I even needed to learn stroke order rule to write Chinese character correctly. There were so many things I didn't bother to research. Now you might be thinking, but I just want to learn conversational skill. As long as I can speak and people understand me, that's good enough. I don't need to know all this stuff. But guys, you need to understand the basics before you can actually speak properly. You can't just randomly speak or copy without understanding how the sentence works. How can you apply it to other situations if you don't start from the foundation? Maybe you don't need to learn stroke or the rule for writing, but you definitely need to understand the basics to speak correctly so people can understand you and so you can understand how the sentences are constructed. Even for conversation in English, you need to start by understanding basic grammar. For example, talking about the past versus the future had to be different, right? Otherwise, people will never understand what concept you're speaking in. Chinese is the same way. And the third mistake I see all the time, especially with people who want to learn conversational skill quickly, is if we choose to learn random phrases from somewhere online and just copy them. I swear there are so many sample sentences shared online, and it's create overwhelming feeling for learners like us. You get information overload and end up thinking which one should I learn, which one should I use, when should I use this sentence, and in what situation. I used to think this could improve my speaking skill and vocabulary because I believe that the way to improve my speaking skill is to learn more vocabulary and apply them in different situations. But this way of learning is very passive. I was absorbing, reading, and memorizing, but I wasn't understanding the essence, the sentence, or its meaning. The reason for all of this is because we skip grammar. And this is the final mistake I want to tell you about. I used to think that we only need to learn grammar when studying for certificates because it's more academic and writing focused rather than for real-life conversation. But that's actually not true at all. As I mentioned before, for proper English conversation, you need to know basic grammar. Even though Chinese use pictographic character, it still had basic grammar rules. And Chinese grammar is actually quite different from what we are used to. Let me give you an example. In English, I want to travel to England, follow the same word order. But in Chinese, it's slightly reversed. 我想去英国旅游. In English, the order is subject, the verb want, the verb travel, and England is the location. But in Chinese, it's subject, the verb want, the location England, and the travel verb. So learning grammar means understanding the essence of sentence structure. From there, you don't need to memorize random phrases from the internet. You can create your own sentences based on what you learned. If you're planning to seriously learn a language, whether for getting certification, studying abroad, or just for personal growth, find a teacher from the beginning so you don't get confused about the fundamentals. If not, then start with the basics I mentioned, pronunciation, alphabet, and grammar. I shared a video about my Chinese learning journey and WhatsApp from the 0 to ASK1. You can check them out since the methods work for me, so I hope they will be effective for you too. And especially if you want to learn conversational skill but don't have time to research and self-study because it takes too long, then just invest in finding a teacher. Investing in learning is for developing skill and supporting your career is never a waste of money. Don't be cheap when it comes to things like this. Those are all the mistakes you might be making in your language learning journey. If you haven't made this mistake yet, I hope you will avoid the thing I have said. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you have a subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to catch my upcoming videos. Whatever I learn and whatever works effectively, I will share it here.